be renewed once the present one expires with Creative Flagstaff. So really important. Hope you participate if you can. However, I will say that Eliza Kretzman, our consultant, will reach out to BPAC separately for some interviews.
So Jenna, it's not required, is that correct?
No, but it is encouraged.
Great, thank you for clarifying.
And then 3, just a reminder, because it hasn't passed yet. We discussed it last month more fully about the Valley Forward Environmental Excellence Awards ceremony in Phoenix. And then, of course, exactly on the same day is the Viola Awards. And I know we have tables for both. Those tables are now closed. And Commissioners Garcia, Johnson, and Verrill will be our representatives at the Viola Awards. In the regional plan committee, this one I was hoping that Commissioner Garcia was going to speak a little bit more to. I will do my best, but this
You did just join.
Oh, excellent. Commissioner Garcia, is there more that you would like to say about the upcoming event for the regional plan committee?
I really can't at the moment. I'm driving, so I gotta get off.
Okay, that's fine. Then I will just say that there's a series of meetings. I put the link in to the meetings and the topics. Basically, there was one in March, and there's kind of one each month, and each has a different topic, and they're actually doing the review of the draft of the regional plan. So if you're interested in any of the topics in particular, I encourage you to attend those meetings and give input to the committee.
Thank you. Do we have any public participation?
I did not receive any, Chair.
I did not receive any either.
Thank you. Then moving forward to approval of the minutes. Has everyone had the opportunity to look at the February minutes? And are there any corrections, comments, questions? If there are not, then I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris and Matt, first and second on that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the February meeting minutes of the BPAC meeting. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? The motion carries and the minutes are approved as presented. Thank you. Moving forward to announcements.
Okay, the first one is staff announcement. The recruitment is underway for the collection, beautification, and public art project administrator position. It closes this Friday at 4 p.m. If you know anyone who would be interested in our fine staff and organization, please pass that on. If I think I sent the link out to everybody, but if I, maybe I didn't. Maybe I just put it on LinkedIn. I might have.
I don't remember seeing.
I will send it out promptly after this meeting. Okay, it is a pretty short turnaround. It's only out for 2 weeks. We did such a strong recruitment last time. We have parties who applied then who are applying again. So, and then I have to tell you, I'm just announcing to you that I won't be here at the next BPAC meeting, and Kristen Cortito will lead for staff.
We can all run.
I am going to see the full solar eclipse. I will be in Texas. It happens to be on April 8th. Sorry. Usually I don't miss BPAC, but it is
That's
it's
beautiful.
a celestial event.
It's beautiful art. Could you arrange to bring that to Flagstaff?
It's not coming here. And there's nothing I can't move the heavens and the earth. Go ahead.
Okay, so quick announcement about beautification action grants. The deadline is this Friday at 5 p.m. We pulled back a lot on marketing and public relations for this grant cycle. That said, we are currently tracking 9 applications, which is fantastic. So in April, again, we will go over those applications more thoroughly. as the commission, and I'm hopeful that we receive a few more, or that we receive all 9 applications and maybe a few more this Friday.
Okay, and then Mr. McIntyre, did you want to do this next one or did you want me to?
Me too.
Okay, all right, so there has been a change of leadership at Creative Flagstaff. Jonathan Stone has given his resignation. His last day will be the Viola Awards. So I expect he will party hardy with you guys as his last day. There is a transition in place. Julie Komnick, who is the program director of the Coconino Center for the Arts, will be the interim ahead of Creative Flagstaff. We understand it's going to be about a 6-month transition.
Next up is a commissioner announcement. Anthony, did you want to talk about your Sunnyside Neighborhood Association? Or did you want Jenna to read that?
I could mention it at the next meeting, Mike. I'll be in a place where I can speak freely here shortly. I apologize.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, we'll
Are
just,
there any?
yeah, we'll
are
just
there any
defer
other-
that.
Are there any chair or vice chair announcements?
None.
And any other commissioner announcements?
None.
And any council liaison announcements?
I asked Councilmember Sweet, she had none, and she will be here, but she will just be running late.
Great, thank you. So then moving forward to our action items. First on the agenda is consideration of gift donation from Ed Riley.
Okay, I'm going to give just a brief introduction, and then I'm going to bring Mr. Riley up here. So if Greg, our first little 3-slider. And I'm going to go ahead and let you just do the clicker for this.
Okay.
Nope, that's not the right one.
That's not we're not doing the up one first?
Yeah, that's it.
We are, but there was a intro, a 3-slide intro one that I sent you. I shared it on SharePoint with you today.
Try to do some singing or something if you'd like over there.
Sing if you like.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. There it is.
Oh, saved.
No, we were deprived. We were deprived. All right. All right, so we went over this more thoroughly. It's just more of a reminder. We went over this at the February BPAC meeting next. So for anything that goes into parks, as we know that there is a ordinance that applies, and we went over the basic things to initiate any kind of project under resolution 2014-18. And we're focusing on the third part. You know, in the early research, the resolution calls for Beautification and Public Art Commission to be consulted to determine if the donation would be considered public art, and in which case BPAC would first review the proposal for appropriateness for the public art collection. And so that's pretty much what we're here to do today for the 2 donations that were that are under consideration, but it is only a first step. So you're determining whether it moves on to the next step. Next. And then what you're considering, and this is kind of the criteria that you need to keep in your head when you're making your vote today. If you have the answers to all the questions that you want, I reached out to each artist and asked, the questions that you put forth at the last meeting, and they have answered them, in their responses or in their presentations. But, just remember that obviously, this is more for an existing piece. We have to make sure, of course, that it's of listed provenance, that it's not stolen, it's not, excavated from an Etruscan tomb, and illegally brought into the country. All the things that we will be required to do for any gift, so the kind of staff time requirements is something that, always has to be taken into consideration. But, some of the aesthetic and historical significance of the object, that includes an assessment of the artistic content, the composition and design. Whether or not we already have sufficient examples or better examples is something that you would consider whether you want to accept something into our collection. And then the location, is the location one that we can work with? Or are there issues? The other thing is maybe the location is available, but could it be better used for an open call to artists where we have, a lot of ideas to come in, and maybe a location special to somebody that they would rather see that than accept a gift for the spot. So that can all be considered under location. And then is there going to be any extraordinary, costs of maintenance that maybe would make you pause about accepting it into a public art, into Flagstaff's public art collection? I don't know that applies to either of the gifts, but it's something that could apply. Believe me, there's some very delicate paper, things that would require the kind of perhaps resources that this program would not have to, upkeep a piece. Might be better in a museum or something like that. So those are the sorts of things that you guys can consider. And that's my introduction. And I believe Mr. Ed Riley is going to present his very generous. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Riley for considering, this gift and this donation to the city of Flagstaff. And because I know the cost of bronze sculpture, and they're really quite high. So this is quite a generous donation, and I just would like to thank him up front.
Where would you like me to be?
Well, that's the official presenter spot, but yes, and we need to get you the clicker.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Use this for you. Is it the big one in the center?
I think
The arrow on the right.
Okay.
arrow on the right. So
Right
that's
here,
the,
okay.
so that's how you go forward. And
Okay,
then the arrow on the
well,
left.
thanks for having me here today. I'd like to introduce my wife Kathy and a good friend of mine, Gary Howell, and Alan Peterson, I think you might know. They're here today with me, and I'd like to introduce them. I've lived in Flagstaff for quite a while, on and off. Right now, I'm currently residing in Prescott, but I lived in Flagstaff between 71 and 91. And I own a property owner here in Flagstaff as well. So this is, let's see. Okay.
Yeah, you went a little fast. Would you, if you want to say
I
next?
think that's the second one.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I've had this idea for over 30 years to sculpt this elk for downtown Flagstaff. The elk is a symbol in the seal of Flagstaff. And so I think it's appropriate that that Flagstaff have something like this. Okay. It does not have a sculpture right now that is a unifying symbol per se of that represents Flagstaff. Okay. I think it's a strong image. I think that's it's a natural, majestic beauty. It's a benevolent symbol. So I've had this idea, and so that's why I brought it up today to show you what I'm doing. Okay. Other towns really close by have something like this. Winslow, I think if you've been through there before, has, you know, one of the eagles standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. And I think that is an important tourist attraction. I think a lot of people come to Winslow, and they get their picture taken there. It's really kind of a symbol now for Winslow. And it has some pretty current or, you know, social significance for, say, our generation because of the Eagles, because of the, you know, the music that goes along with it. So because my background is a foundry owner, I've worked with a lot of different towns in Arizona to making symbols like this. So for example, I'll go through some of these, but we've done one for Wickenburg. The first one we did was in Wickenburg in 1988. That was called Thanks for the Rain. It's a cowboy subject, and it's in front of the Desert Caballeros Western Museum. Somebody had the idea of giving that symbol to the town, and it wasn't more than a month after that, somebody had wrote a poem about the sculpture. So it was very meaningful to everyone in that community. So as far as these symbols, and we see some of the other ones here. Oops, that one went too fast. Here's some other ones we've worked on. This is a sculpture that we did for Barry Goldwater down in Paradise Valley. It's on the corner of Tatum and Shea. No, excuse me, Lincoln and Shea. And so that's a pretty well recognizable symbol. Barry Goldwater was an important figure in the town of Paradise Valley. So that was interesting to see how that kind of brought the whole community together at that time. These are two that we have in Prescott Valley. That was the Not So Gentle Tamer that was done to commemorate the Arizona's 100-year centennial. And I think it's the only sculpture in Arizona that was done to commemorate the centennial. So that's called the Not So Gentle Tamer. And it was designed by Bob Bosbell, who is the editor of True West magazine. He came up with a poster, and I saw that image, and I thought that was really apropos to show the woman's role in taming the West. So when we say the Not So Gentle Tamer, what she's done is probably gone to her friend's house and decided to pick some vegetables before the party, and reached down in the garden, and there, lo and behold, there's a rattlesnake there. So she grabbed her shovel, dispatched the rattlesnake, and proceeded to go to the party. So I think that's kind of an interesting piece. The one you see on the right is called the Jenkins Obelisk that I personally did 2 years ago that commemorates or records the history of Prescott Valley. So on one side of that, it shows the Native Americans, the Yavapai tribe. It shows one of the scenes of their camp or their dwellings. And then also the eagle, it's a protective symbol going over Granite Mountain, which is their sacred mountain. On the other side of the right is some gold miners. And those gold miners started to settle the area in 1883. And I think that is an important part of the history of the Prescott area. And then on the other side is ranching. Ranching was brought in, shortly after the mines to possibly, support the mines and, settle the area. The other side, the fourth side, is more of a modern side that shows abstract shapes that lights up at night. So it's a stainless steel and plexiglass on the other side. So those are two pieces that we've personally done one of them and cast the other one, and we did the fundraising for the Not So Gentle Tamer. So I don't know if anyone has been to Prescott Valley, but they have a really robust sculptural program there around their civic center. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. Those two being these two being some of the best ones, or the most key sculptures in their collection. So here we have Sedona. That's a sculpture of Joe Beeler in downtown Sedona, doing a painting. And then I think you might have seen these javelinas. These are the paint, people in the community painted those and then donated their time. Famous artists in Sedona donated their time. And so those are really popular in Sedona as well. These are some of the things that we've done just recently. Of course, the one on the upper left is called Cowboy in a Storm. That was done in front of the Phippen Museum. That's a 14-foot tall sculpture. And we went over the Gentle Tamer and the Jenkins obelisk. The other one is just fairly more recent, is Bill Nebaker's. It's called If Horses Could Talk. It's a cowboy hunting for a deer that's kind of creeped down below where you can't see him, but the horse notices him. So it's kind of an interesting piece. The one on the upper right, that is the Boy Scout monument. That commemorated the 100-year anniversary of Boy Scouts. And that is something that both my sons did as a Eagle Scout project. So that has got a prominent place in one of the intersections in Prescott. Now, if you go to the bottom row, these are some other pieces that I've worked on. This is the Code Talker that's out in Window Rock, Arizona, commemorating, of course, the Code Talkers and their role that they played in World War II. In the center below is a sculpture of Lewis and Clark that's right outside of Omaha, Nebraska, at Fort Calhoun. And there is Lewis and Clark. That was their first council that they had with the Native American tribes. That is the Oto Indians, were the ones that they first contacted. The other one there is Chief Standing Bear on the lower right. Chief Standing Bear is a 22-foot tall sculpture that's at Ponca City, Oklahoma. That's commemorating Chief Standing Bear. He's the first Native American to become a U.S. citizen. So that has some really cultural significance there as well. Let's talk a little bit about, there I am working on the sculpture in its infant stage, to where that's the armature and that's the clay that's being applied to this finished piece right here. The elk is a pretty recognizable symbol of Flagstaff, and so that's why I think that originally it was put in the Great Seal, or the logo of Flagstaff. What we have there, and I think, I'm not sure if the next one shows it, but what I propose is to have this sculpture right on a little hill that you'll see right outside here on Humphreys and Aspen Street. Okay, I have driven by that hill hundreds and hundreds of times over a period of, since the park was made. I never saw a person stand on that hill. I've never seen like a tent or any part of the celebrations or anything's going on. It's just odd. And if you want to share with me if you see anybody that I can sense even steps on that, let me know, because it seems like a little bit of a safe place. So that's where I would like to see the sculpture go. That's where I would propose it to go. What you see there, I've put like a little fence around it. Could be done more tastefully. If it just put that in there to show you what could keep people from, say, climbing on it. What I'm proposing to do this is 1.5 sculpture. So from the base of it would be almost 13 feet tall from where he's standing on that rock up to the top of his elk horns. So that is pretty much sized and created for that particular space. Okay, this shows better exactly what I'm talking about. I like that location because in a park-like setting, it's going to be something that's going to grow over a period of time in people's love and imagination. So it could become a symbol for Flagstaff. It could be also a gathering place. So people that would be, in the community and say, "Oh, I'll meet you at the elk," or kids could play around it. It's going to, I think, have, it's going to grow on people's love and become a part of the community, I believe. So the symbol of the elk itself is rather a neutral subject matter as well. So I think it shows really, you know, what Flagstaff's natural beauty is in its essence. So there's one location. The other alternate location I think that would be good would be in front of the flagpoles out there on that concrete pedestal, that concrete walkway or whatever you want to call it. It could be raised up higher on another platform easily. It could be, there's a lot of things that could go on with that. And I have monies available to actually do all the work, including the engineering for the foundation, all the concrete and everything. So it's not going to cost the city any tax dollars to put funds towards the actual installation of the sculpture. This is something I've done for a long, long time. I know how to do this. So when we talk about sculpture, we talk about site-specific works of art. This is created right for that particular location. Not this one, but the last one. I've created it for that. I've looked at that spot there for 35 years, and I think that would be the best place for it. And the other location would be an alternate, okay? It's a gift to the city. It's a non-offensive and universally loved thing. I think it'll become a tourist attraction. I think it needs to be centrally located where it can recognize so that it becomes a symbol of Flagstaff. I think it will genuinely be a beautification for our town, and I think it does follow the criteria of the things that you've just outlined as well. It could also have some other benefits to it. It could become an award for, you know, service to the town. That can be miniaturized and it could be made into, you know, something that could be used also within the city government. So I would just ask you to please accept this. And then, you know, right now, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Have any questions? I'm sorry.
One person's got their hand raised. Anthony, do you have something to ask or say?
Yeah, are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yes.
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 Thank you. I just was curious, a question for staff on the proposed location. Is there, have you ran it, you know, past other departments to see if that location is even suitable for such an amazing piece of artwork? You know, as far as what lies beneath that area, you know, underground, and how that, you know, pertains to maybe usage of whatever that utility might be in the future or things of that nature. What is staff's opinion on this?
So Commissioner Garcia, thank you for the question. First, I hope all commissioners received the letter from the Director of Pros, who is actually with us here and who can more fully answer the question about Wheeler Park. And I'll let her do that. I'll say that.
Okay. I did read that. I apologize. I had my parks confused. I must have been thinking of the other park.
So, but the alternate location, I cannot fully answer at this point because it was an alternate that was put into the presentation and after I wrote the agenda. So there just wasn't time to track down the, you know, kind of answers and responses. My understanding is that the front lawn an area is a civic space, maybe not technically a park. So I'm not even sure if it would fall under 2014-18. As we know, the city lawn, the entire thing is a project in our public art 5-year plan. We know that there's changes coming due to the downtown mile. There's changes coming due to the Rio de Flag project that it's going to affect some of the edges. We know that Council Member Sweet, our liaison, has expressed interest in this project. We know that City Council wants the demonstration area for the public to use to be preserved. We know that sustainability would like to get rid of the lawn and get native plants in. So we know that there's interest in that site. And, you know, that does not preclude at all this generous donation possibly going there. It's just that I don't have answers here today. But anyway.
Thank you.
And Director,
Thank you.
we also have, though, Rebecca Sayers here. She can more fully answer about the park. And if she has anything to say about the civic space, we would love to hear from her.
Sure. Thanks, Janet. I'm Rebecca Sayers. I'm the Parks, Recreation, Open Space and Events Director. So we did consider this donation in the Wheeler Park location, and there are a lot of utilities right in that location that we would be concerned about. But besides that, it is a popular for the events that we have in Wheeler Park. We are not allowing new events in Wheeler Park, but there are several existing what we call historic events, and they heavily program that space. So maybe you haven't driven by it on those crazy days.
I know where the tents are. I've seen where the tents are and stuff, but when the whole place is built.
Those hills become the bouncy houses. That's what they put there. And it would be disruptive to them to have to work, because Wheeler Park is such a small space to begin with. Asking them to rearrange their historic events would be disruptive to them. So those are just a couple of reasons that we provided the letter and the opinion that we did. The City Hall, that was actually one of the first alternative locations that I thought of, was the City Hall front lawn. We need to vet that a little bit more, of course, but I think it's a more appropriate location. Certainly the future construction projects coming through. I'm not sure the plaza is the best place for it, because that is heavily used as a protest and demonstration site, as Jana mentioned. And my imagination starts to go with what some of those folks might do with a statue of an elk in the middle of the demonstration area. But, you know, I do think that this in front of City Hall would be a better location.
Right.
Than Wheeler Park.
That certainly would be acceptable. Certainly. Yeah.
And of course, Amy Hagan is our Assistant Parks and Recreation Director. She knows a lot more about these spaces. Parks does maintain that space, so it's very similar to a park, but it doesn't have amenities like a park typically was. That's why we call it a civic space. We do permit it out for special events on occasion and things like that. But it's not as heavily used, certainly, or permitted as Wheeler Park. So I would still want to review everything with Amy.
Well, I think the bronze is a very durable image, you know, like unlike say fiberglass or some of the other things. It's been around. I think somebody said if all the people in New York City went away or for like at least 100 years, the only thing left would be bronze sculptures. So it's a very durable, and there's not really a lot of maintenance with it. So I think in that respect, from what the criteria would be, I think it would be a good choice.
So just speaking back to commissioners, what I can't tell you specifically whether 2014-18 applies.
I believe it would.
You believe it would?
Yeah.
Most likely it would apply. So we would be in the same process that I outlined at the beginning. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that as much as possible. So
I think at this point, can we, I guess the options are to accept the statue or reject the statue. But if we accept it, then I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but I would like the option of being able to move it if we need to at some point.
well, first of all, this isn't a final acceptance. So this is why I tried to go over. So the suggested action is to vote whether it is recommended to approve that the donation is public art, part one. Part two is appropriate for the collection based on the criteria given, and to move it forward to pros to initiate the full process under 2014-18, because there's a process that has to happen. And has to be, as you know, that joint commission put together between the the PROS commission and BPAC. That has, and they get the final. And but all the work in between has to be done by PROS to that point.
Okay, so our job is just to decide whether or not to try to move this process forward or to
Yes.
reject it outright.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that. Commissioners, are there any more questions or discussion, or is there a motion to either move this forward? Looks like, Anthony, you've got something to say?
Yeah, just briefly, Chair Cruz. I really do appreciate this idea that was brought forth by the artist. I think that we are in a spot where it's I don't know. I think we're kind of in a good spot just to like by accepting this. I think finding the spot for it is going to be the challenge. But I think if we could at least get the acceptance going, that's what I'll be voting for. And I think it's kind of a good gesture and something that we haven't really dealt with on the BPAC so much as a gift, and it's something that can kind of set the template or the stage for potentially future things like this happening. I like the idea. I like the art. Now the challenge is finding the location. But with that, I wouldn't mind making a motion to move this forward unless there's more discussion.
I'll add to that. Any location right around City Hall, I feel like there should be a more public process involved in selecting artwork. That it is the people's building in the city. So that may foreshadow my vote depending on how the motion is worded, but I don't want us to even just say, oh, it's up to Parks to find a spot there. I think if we were going to put something at City Hall, the public should be more involved. I mean, we look at a roundabout and we have focus groups and months of process around that. And I don't know that the 2014-18 process replicates that level of public engagement that I think is important, especially in an area like this.
Well said, Matt. Thank you.
I agree with Matt. That's well said. And this is absolutely beautiful.
Really,
this is stunning. And the samples you've shown us, they are amazing. I would love to have this somewhere in the city. I'd agree with Matt that something in such a prominent space, I think, takes more public involvement.
I agree. I totally agree. These things take a long time to do.
Yeah.
It kind of just dawns on me, Prescott has had the Bucky O'Neill statue there since 1907. Okay, long time, even before it was a state. Flagstaff is missing something. It doesn't have this symbol. And so that's why I thought, let's try to make this happen.
Yep, I would agree with that. And this is beautiful. Whether or not that ends up being the art that is in such a prominent space or it's somewhere else, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But the fact that Flagstaff could use a symbol, absolutely.
I do have to say, there is a bronze sculpture on the city lawn. It is the pioneer greeting the eagle or seeing the vision of the eagle, however you want to interpret it. It is there. It is actually going to be something that has to be moved as part of the downtown bio. It's sitting in a location that we're going to have to pay to move that one. So that's why I say a lot of investigation will have to be done about the city lawn in and of itself. But it is definitely a possibility, and I can definitely see it's appropriate. I'm hearing that the motion maybe want to be modified to include some kind of public art process that staff could come up with.
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And we very much want you to be a crucial part of it because this is great.
So does someone want to make that motion?
You said it well,
Uh,
Matt. Good job.
so, yeah, no, that's okay. A motion I got a little confused, Jana, when you told us what we're actually doing, because I thought we were accepting.
Let's break it in parts.
Okay, because
Okay.
I can handle the third part. The first two were.
Okay, so is this donation public art? Let's just break it down. I think it's easier that way. Can we make a motion that you accept this donation as public art?
I make a motion that we accept this as public art.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept this elk as public art. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? The motion carries. Thank you, folks.
Okay, and then that this is appropriate for the public art collection, subject to location investigation and a robust public process for acceptance.
I think those are two different thoughts, right? So
Yes.
if it's going to be in such a prominent place, I think that needs to be a very robust process. I think there's a second option, so you can put it somewhere less prominent. That may or may not be something you want, but a less prominent spot, I don't know that as much of a less
Okay,
discussion
I have
is
to say,
necessary.
it's been proposed for 2 locations, one of which we know pros will not approve. And we have at least that indication, and then we have a spot that hasn't been vetted. And my dialogue with Mr. Riley has
Yeah.
been that he would not consider the donation if it was on a Foots trail somewhere. So I think
Fair
that,
problem, sure.
yes, yes. So I think it is a motion to, how about a motion to initiate the process under the ordinance?
I'll make a motion that this is suitable for the collection and location should be determined based upon a public process. Staff will develop similar to other public location processes that we have had. That was not as eloquently worded, but that's what I think.
Thank you.
Is there a second? Chris, did you second that?
Yes.
Wonderful. It's been moved and seconded to approve the elk or to accept the donation with the location to be determined by a public art process.
No, I think the motion is to initiate the process under 2014-18.
I said a process similar to the other ones that we've used. I would say specifically like the roundabout focus groups that I've been a part of.
That's the public art process.
Yeah.
And to.
But I don't know that
to
that's
accept it as a-
captured in 2014-18.
Right. So I thought you said that it was appropriate for the public art collection, not that we accepted it.
Yes, that was 2 parts. It's appropriate for the public art collection. The location will be determined based on a public process staff will develop, but similar to the other processes that we're all familiar with and have participated on. Like, so somebody from the commission would be a part of the focus group, if there was a focus group or something like that.
I think we can combine the 2
Yes.
processes.
Yes.
Whatever we want to call it, as long as the public and the commission is engaged in proving the location.
All right. So does everybody understand the motion now?
Does Craig understand the motion? I think that.
I got you. Thank you.
Craig does.
Okay. Okay. Are we all good with that?
Is there a second?
My second.
Chris? Commissioner
So-
Burrow seconded.
Yes, and I will avoid trying to repeat the motion myself. I think we've all understood it. And so at this point, we'll just take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? The motion carries. Thank you, folks. I appreciate your help with that.
You got there.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Right,
the
thank you,
opportunity to
Doug.
show it to you. Would you like me to leave this here for put on the mayor's desk?
If we I don't think you got to see it as well, commissioners who are online, but I'm turning it sideways. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm good.
That comes later.
We can keep it, well, if you'd like, if you'd let us.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
thank you.
I like to kind of kick it around and see it,
Let
let it grow on it.
And Chair Cruz, we do
Yes.
have, before we take up G2, I would ask that we move H1 up on the agenda.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm fine with that. You want to do H1 next?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Let's just move. Let's just do let's dive into H1, the Cheshire slow street asphalt art projects.
Thank you.
Yeah, excuse me, one more little thing if I could butt in. It doesn't have to be right in front of the flags. It could be in a new landscape area in front of the city hall.
Yeah.
So, you know, if this things take time, this could take a year. It doesn't matter to me. I just want it to be there.
Yeah, and if we take our time and do it right,
Yeah.
it'll have
That's
this for
exactly
the
what I'm
community where we're at.
So I let you. All right, thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
So our next presenters are Kate Morley, Kim Austin, and Kaylee Quick. Go to, I know the elk might be blocking.
I mean, kind of short, but you know.
We got some competition there.
I know, we're all on the same side here. Okay. Hi.
No, that will not work with a PDF, just so you know.
Okay, that's fine. My name is Kim Austin, and I'm the new TDM planner for Metro Plan. And I'm here to just give you a little precursor of the Cheshire Slow Street project, because it will come back to haunt you in a month. It's not gonna haunt, I'm just kidding. But you'll see it again. Just a quick overview. So this is an asphalt art project. And Kaylee, you jump in whenever. I'm just doing like the like goal pieces. I'm gonna let you have all the art you've got on.
I've got a lot of art, so where's that? Do you want me to jump in now or do you want me to wait?
Give me just a second. Okay. I'll just get the goals and then you can take it away.
Great.
Cool. So this is a demonstration project, and it was a neighborhood-driven project, a collaboration to make all modes of travel safer on Fremont Street in Cheshire neighborhood. Does everyone know where that street is?
No.
It's the light by Fala, by the school.
Got it.
Yes, that really big road into the neighborhood. So it's a temporary project. It's a demonstration project, and we're going to be reshaping the road with art in the hopes that we will see some behavior changes in speeds and just general driver behavior and pedestrian behavior. It's shown that 50% there's a decrease in pedestrian crashes by half after ultimate art, us combining asphalt and art together, has been put on the road. And then drivers and pedestrians are both more likely to make better decisions when the roadway has been reshaped. There's a slide that shows you exactly what the plan is, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. What else? We're partnering with the Fala School and a couple of local artists, and we had a focus group in the neighborhood to talk about what they would like to see on the street. So it was definitely neighborhood driven, and it's a collaboration with many organizations within the city. The students, the artists are working with the students to come up with some concepts. And then the concepts, the focus group comments are taken into those concepts, and then you all get to vote on them on the 8th. And this is a grant from the Bloomberg Foundation. It's Metro Plan and Creative Flagstaff received this grant. It's a $25,000 grant. Next. Just a quick timeline so you know where we are, and then the rest are pictures. Sorry, it was just easier that way. So right now, Haley, she's an artist. I'm gonna bring up here in a second. She's been working with the students for the art concepts. We just recently did some filming for an educational video that we're going to
put out to the public, kind of a teaser, like this is coming and this is why it's important, and explaining what a slow street project is, because a lot of people don't understand it. And that's, I mean, I get that. On the 8th, BPAC is voting on the concepts given by the students. We're going to open the whatever BPAC votes on, we're going to put it out there on the Flagstaff Community Forum, and we're going to let the community vote. The voting will be open for 1 week, and then we'll announce the winner on the 22nd. And then we're going to get into the neighborhood and start talking to everyone and making sure everyone knows what's coming to the neighborhood. And then we're all painting as a community. Please come, you're all invited personally. On the 18th of May, we're going to have a street festival and with music and art and fun. Okay, Kaylee. This is Kaylee Quick. She is one of the artists. And I'm just going to stand here, be your Vanna if you need anything. I love that. Okay.
Hi, nice to meet some of you. Nice to see some of you that I've already met.
I have more pictures if you want to see it. There's more. There's a picture of Dana.
That's the one picture I have. So let's go to that.
This really quick is what a street before and after could look like, what we're hoping, possibilities. This is in Tucson. I don't know the street though, the name, I don't know which street exactly.
I don't know, it's by the Children's Museum though.
Okay, yes. And then the next slide, I think, yes, there you go.
So yeah, I apologize for not taking more pictures of the process. We've been pretty focused as we've been working collaboratively with the students and Rena Hamilton over there, and it's been a real joy. So Dana Camberg and I were selected as the artist to help spearhead this project with the FALA students along with their teacher, Rena Hamilton. We're pretty excited, like I said. Dana and I both have a background in education. She teaches for NAU. We used to teach at Flag High together, and I taught at Flag High for about a decade. We started with a community focus group, which we had to pivot to Zoom really fast because it was right during that snowstorm, which was unfortunate, but we still got a lot of really good feedback and a lot of great attendance from the community. We gathered a lot of notes, and that's what Dana and I used to guide our curriculum and how we're going to kind of flow through it with the students. We've met with FALA students 3 times. We've met with Rena a number of times as well outside of that. And within those 3, we've had separate lessons. The first day was kind of a general intro to community art and like the things that you need to think about going into community art, not only how to implement it and longevity, but like cultural considerations and the people within the neighborhood that we're representing and making sure that everybody is well represented in the various ways that we can gather information, like through focus groups, et cetera, to kind of make sure that this is a project that is well received and welcomed and people see themselves within it. We then had them create a collage of mood boards. So we presented the focus group notes that we gathered and then had them start like a mood board, which basically they used magazines to find pictures and a limited color palette so we could start constructing themes, which then they're going to generate. They are currently generating. So I'll go back. Our second day, we did like practice in concept generation. We did a bit of a critique of the mood boards. Something really cool that Dana did was take the topics that came up within the focus groups and made them into speed thumbnails. So we had like parks and like physical activity and just the various things that came up within the focus group, and the kids had to just really quickly within 1 minute generate a concept for each of them. Which kids love and hate that exercise, but us as teachers love that exercise. So they're really just like, wham, bam, here's some ideas, and let's see what comes out best. Third day, we critiqued the rough drafts. We worked with them individually to kind of elaborate on these themes that they're already constructing, and did a class critique. And the kids are super positive, like they're so excited. They're social, they interact well with one another, and it's really a testament to the fine work that Rena does over there. And she's an exquisite educator. So fall is on spring break right now, and we're hoping to have these final drafts when we get back, which would give Dana and I time to create a digital mock-up and kind of refine and clean it up and make sure that it's actually ready to be put on the road, because sometimes there can be a disconnect between students and the lesson they're being taught about how, like, the various things that we have to consider as we're designing, you know, with our limited color palette, simplicity, the use of negative space. And so we're teaching that, but
Do you want to show the next one is the street, so it'll show like exactly in this area?
Yeah. So this is what we're working with. We created a template on each section on paper for the students. That's what they're using as their rough drafts and final drafts. So breaking it into sections. After we refine all that and get it ready and the community has voted on it, then Dana and I are gonna do kind of like a overhead rendition of it and create a plan of how we're going to organize the community, you know, by section, and how we're going to have people sign up, and, you know, how long they get to paint, etc., to try and finish it on March 18th.
In one day.
Well, we'll have prep work a week prior. So it'll be, you know, community projects are really great. And what can be a juggle is that there's so many different levels of people who've engaged with art before, which is really the beauty of community projects, because it brings people out who haven't always considered themselves quote unquote an artist, but also it creates a little bit of juggling in that, like, assigning tasks. So we will need the time prior to just make sure that the whole site is prepped, we've chalked down, edited out everything, and yeah, so.
So I just wanted to also, you know, I think I touched upon this at the February meeting about our involvement. And, you know, I've been in an advisory staff role. The city has been a partner, but traffic's probably been the biggest partner. And they've been working, you know, with this project all the way through, you know, making, you know, helping with a lot of suggestions and requirements. But we have, you know, basically helped edit the call to artists, set on the selection panel for the artists, and then, you know, gave some input that we wanted to see a public art process that we normally have for ours, which is why the options are coming to you for your recommendation to put on the public ballot. So therefore, you'll be recommending more than one, because then we're going to leave the final choice to the community. So your recommendation next month will be to put it on the public ballot. So we'll learn a lot about how a public art process goes normally through the city through this process, and hoping to have maybe some students here at April, maybe, or at least some. Yeah, and we always do record these so they can always watch and hear the comments and see the process if they cannot come in person.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, we'll talk to Rena about that.
This is discussion only.
Remind me again, how long is this designed to last?
We are in the process of selecting paint. So
Oh, yeah, and to further support that, our program might be giving, as if this Echo paint costs more, we'll be paying some of the difference. Because I think that was very also important to the community that it be an eco-friendly paint.
the idea that it is a temporary installation too.
Right.
But with the paint, once we select it, we'll know a little bit more about longevity. I would say 6 months to a year, depending on the snowstorms we get and how many of it's getting cleared out by the snowbox.
And just for further clarification, the roadway is set to be permanently, I'm gonna say it wrong. It's going to be, so we're taking away one of the lanes south into the neighborhood, and the city is gonna come and permanently make that happen. So I don't know, exactly, but the roadway is going to be restructured similar to what we have. So we're hoping it lasts for a while, but I think that ultimately the roadway is gonna change at some point, so. I did, what, Colorado State, is that the one in Fort Collins? They have some roadway art that's been there for, a couple of years though. So, just so you know.
Is there a process for upgrading or getting rid of it at some point when it becomes worn?
Do you want to jump in here, Kate? We're the executive director of Metro Plan, and there are lots of moving pieces. So as the city's traffic group decides what to do with the road long-term, they're going to study how well this works and make adjustments. Eventually, the road needs to be resealed in the not too distant future. And so that is probably when it will fully go away, as they'll come out and lay new asphalt down. I don't believe their long-term capital project is planned until about 2027. So I think that this will disappear in the meantime, is my guess. I think the road has to be resurfaced ahead of that.
But that prompts a question though,
Yeah.
because if it dissolves in 6 months or a year or two, I guess the timeline on 2027 works. My point is, it looks like it'd be beautiful. I'd rather not have it deteriorate and still be there.
There are opportunities. Some places will power wash remaining art off. They do say that that's an option. I think that we could probably work to just have the reseal timed appropriately, because I think it's already on the capital. I think they've delayed resealing the project already due to this coming down the line. So, or sealing's not the right word. But
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Questions?
I have a question. So I walked away to get a cookie actually, and I may have missed this, but what exactly is the art project? Are you painting the streets?
Yes.
Painting the, see these
You see the
sections?
section on the green?
Yeah. Yes,
That is what is becoming art. That is the canvas for the, what the students are putting, and Kaylee and Dana are putting together. It will be paint on the road.
Okay. So we are actually painting the street. I guess my
In
question.
Tucson. Do you remember seeing this in Tucson?
Yes. I guess my question is not to the presenter, but to staff. I just feel like we've talked about painting the streets, and there was some problem with streets saying it was going to be distracting, and there were all these.
We were going to be doing a different thing, which is crosswalks. And we weren't actually going to be painting. We were going to be doing a thermoplastic, which is much more long-term. However, there's a legal objection to crosswalks. That's why this project is avoiding crosswalks. And so related, true, but different.
And
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying.
to add, there will be candlestick delineators around the end caps for safety purposes, and the city is making sure that we follow all MUTCD guidelines that are appropriate to maintain safety for everyone that uses the roadway.
Great, thank you. I think it's a great idea. I wish we'd paint more of the streets. Anthony, did you have your hand up? And then take it down?
Yeah, I did, Chair Cruz. Just briefly, I just wanted to add my 2 cents. I don't really have any questions. I'm really delighted with the artist on this project and the process, how well thought it was, and how well thought it is. Anyhow, I also think that this is kind of a nice opportunity to because we have had a checkered past with some paintings on some of our streets. And I think this is a nice entryway into potentially seeing this more in the future, or at least having some real some real facts on how long it lasts and things like that. So that way we can make decisions in the future for potentially other projects, or maybe this will be the test pilot where we say, this isn't really going to work. But I do want to see this happen here. I think it's a great project. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Yes, we are aware that we're gonna learn a lot from this project, good and bad. And so we're hoping more good than that, and yeah, there'll be more future projects such as this.
Remember how successful our pilot for the sonic signal cabinet wraps was? We did a pilot and now we just expand and build and build. So
Right.
there we go.
I love that enthusiasm. Jan. Thank you all.
So
Thank
any
you.
other comments or questions from the commission before? Walked out.
I just wanted to echo everyone's comments and my enthusiasm for this project. I'm super excited to see the artwork as well as the Slow Streets project in Flagstaff. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Claire. Great. So I guess we can move forward to G2.
Yes. So another gift donation. Thank you, everybody. You can stay if you want, but you don't have to.
I'm afraid my stomach's gonna growl, so
Okay. Thank you.
and everyone's gonna look at me. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we have a second donation and, very interesting position to be in, but with not one, but two possible donations. And this is the Jean Galazan donation, which I showed you again, last, in February. I took back the questions. He's narrowed it down to one sculpture. Remember, he showed 4 sculptures before, based on some of the comments that he heard and some of the direction that he personally wanted to go. So, first of all, Commissioner Farrell asked for more pictures, so
I saw them. That was
so
great.
you got more
Oh, yeah.
pictures, so, and
More
also,
great pictures.
some questions about, the actual materials and some of the treatments and maybe some of the safety concerns. So, here is again, there's a 4x4 treated wood beam, 7 feet kind of long and 14 feet wide and 10 to 12, 14 inches wide and 10 to 12 feet high. As you see, it's an angle, so that's why it's 10 to 12 feet. The artist does not feel there'd be any maintenance on the wood because it's a Douglas fir and it's sprayed with an acrylic clear coat. So he thinks it'll last a very long time. The metal is painted, then also sprayed with a clear coat, so it will not rust. And I think that was a question from last time. And then the height. So some of the photos are to show the kind of human proportion, which was, I think, missing very much from our first photograph. And since the minimum height is 10 feet, that is like the standard kind of safety clearance for, a lot of building codes, a lot of things, you don't want anything dangling. Feet. So this does meet that kind of, criteria. And the possible locations he put forward were at Forest and Turquoise, back of Fox Glen Park. This artist, though, is happy to let us put it at any Foots Trail, any location. He's completely open where we and maybe Parks thinks it would work and look best. So I just wanted to remind you, though, the 2 locations that we did first look. One thing interesting about this location, at Forest is that, there is a mountain line transit station there that it could be interesting to look at it in conjunction, given the shape of the sculpture. I think that this had more favorability at the back of Fox Glen Park last time we were here, but I think you guys were looking more at the horses for that, with kind of the field in the back. So, maybe we have to kind of rethink that if you, again, want to accept it. But again, you guys asked for more pictures, for more sides and more angles. So this is not the artist, by the way. The artist is behind the camera. This is the artist's friend. So, but it does give you a lot of decent proportion. I do not know exactly how tall the gentleman is, though. So that is it. We have the same kind of, after your discussion, the same kind of suggested action. Is this a public art donation? Is it appropriate for the public art collection? And should it go forward to the full process under 2014-18?
Commissioners? Questions, comments, motion?
I guess I'll just chime in here. I appreciate any gifts of public art that are, as good and as well produced as this one has been done. But I can't stop thinking about Carla McCord, Vice Chair McCord's comments when she first saw this. She was kind of struck by it, and she alluded to, potential dangers for the community. And I don't know. When I look at this piece, I kind of feel the same way. And I'm just wondering what the other commissioners feel as far as like, should it be in the most high visibility spots? Do we have the location pinned down correctly? I'm looking for your guys' opinion to help sway my vote. Thank you.
Does it differ? I would just ask, as part of that discussion, you consider whether it's different than a swing set.
Well, no, I don't know. I don't want to say what I feel the conversation was alluding to, but I know what you mean. It really isn't. I don't see it as that big of an issue. I'm just curious what the other commissioners think, so kind of help me process this myself.
I personally think it's lovely. I think it is public art. I think it'd be great to accept the gift, especially since we have so much more leeway in terms of placement.
I tend to agree. I think you know, maintenance is always a factor, and when you if longevity and safety are part of the conversation. But with that caveat, I think it'd be a great piece for the collection, and don't have any immediate concerns about that, and I think it would be a great.
Thanks
Other
for your comment,
commissioners?
Chair. I agree. I just wanted to let you guys know I agree.
Thank you. Matt and Chris?
I like it. I mean, we could say it like Carla thought, someone might kill themselves on this, like hang themselves. I did not think of that before she said it. Yeah, I've thought about it a bunch since then. I don't see it. I like it. This piece, I like the flexibility that the artist is willing to provide. So I don't have any concerns with this one.
I want to thank the artist very, very much for thinking of us. It doesn't, art comes in many, many different forms, and it's in the eye of the beholder. I don't see it.
It's not the horses, Chris. That's why I was like, by comparison, I'm like, everything is great compared to those artists. No offense.
Well, we want to thank the horse guy
really
too, but yeah. Yeah.
Chris.
So
I can see people walking by this and going, it's great. People walking by that and going, what is that? And I'm in the other category. I'm sorry.
Nothing to be sorry about.
So is there a motion? Can we entertain a motion to, I guess if we can do this in the same 2 steps, that might be easier, just to follow the same procedure we did with the first item. And so I guess the first motion would be, yes, this is public art. Is that correct, Jenna?
Yes.
Okay. So does anybody want to make a motion about whether or not this is public art?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Anthony. Any second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Claire. It's been moved and seconded to decide that this donation is in fact public art. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. Chris, that was you? Okay. Anyone abstain? And Claire and Matt, did you guys vote?
Yes, affirmative.
Okay. Thank you. So
Yes.
the motion, thank you, Claire. The motion carries and we agree that this is in fact public art. And then the second vote, Jenna, can you please?
Yeah, so, move to approve that it's appropriate for the public art collection and to initiate the process under the ordinance.
So moved.
Thank you, Anthony. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Claire. It's been moved and seconded for city staff to initiate the process for accepting this into the collection. No objection. So I guess I said that correctly. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
I don't know who that was, but I suspect Craig got that in the notes. Anyone abstain?
That was me with a no.
Oh, Chris. Okay, thank you. All right.
All votes are accounted for, Chair Cruz.
Thank you. The motion carries and the motion is approved. Thank you. I appreciate that. So moving forward to the next discussion item, H2, status of BIA grants. Kristen.
And before Kristen starts, I'd like to thank Rebecca Sayers for giving her time today to be here for the questions that you had on his first two action items.
I'm gonna stay unless you're kicking me out.
Oh.
Good.
Yeah.
Talk about much faster card, right?
You might have a question, so.
Okay.
Happy to be here. Thank you, Jess.
And
No, thank you.
Okay.
Here today to provide an update on previous BIA grantee projects that have yet to be completed. In your way. All right, so there's a lot going on right now. As you know, we awarded 10 grantees in fall 2023, and many of them are already getting started on their projects. One that will be decided next week actually is NAU's utility box wrap project. This received provisional approval. NAU is doing a call to artists to solicit proposals. We have assisted them with that call. We blasted all of our e-subscribers, and they have been disseminating this through NAU as well. I'm not sure how many applications have been received from or by NAU, but we will know that shortly. Next week, the selection panel will meet to decide which project or which artwork will be selected to beautify this particular utility cabinet that is on campus. Little Free Libraries for Sunnyside. The first invoice for that project has been processed, and Stephanie Washington is beginning work on that. So again, these are projects that will be done late spring or summer 2024. Alexei Kimiatic and his team members are working closely with pros. Rebecca and Amy and I met previously earlier this winter with Alexei to talk about timeline. for this particular project. And we're looking at, correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, but I believe it was a June installation date potentially. Oh, August. There you go. Okay. You're more in the know than me. So working closely with Rebecca and Amy and Gino as this project moves forward. Okay. More late spring, summer 2024 installations. Yesterday I drove by the Flagstaff Family Food Center and already their mural is going up. Super colorful and just brightens up the space. It's not quite finished. As you can see, there are still areas that need to be painted, but FALA students have been hard at work completing the imagery for this project. As you know, planters with lots of different kinds of vegetables will be installed on the property as well for food to table opportunities and to provide the community with access to fresh and healthy food. The historic train rail bench, the artists are working on that as well. In January, you approved the design for that historic bench that will be placed at the visitor center. And then the wildflower meadow maze at Willow Bend Environmental Education Center. Of course, they are just waiting for that perfect time to plant that wildflower meadow maze. These are summer into fall 2024 installations. Texas Roadhouse, that is the utility cabinet that resides on the Texas Roadhouse property. That is also a provisional approval. And I will be working with the grant applicant actually to finalize artwork for that particular art wrap. Sunnyside Up Flowers in Bloom is that youth-driven art project that will reside at their name escapes me.
Jenna Dreams.
Thank you. And it will be amalgamated with technology. Dark Sky Brewing Beer Garden Mural. The first invoice for that has been processed. So they are looking to begin work on that in the next few weeks to a few months. And then Canyon Colors Collaboration, which is the mural you see on the left, will be installed on the sidewall again of Habitat for Humanity in Sunnyside.
Do we have a month or any more detail about when in summer, fall they might be?
Not at this time.
Not yet.
No. Coming very soon, celebrating African Americans in Flagstaff. So this project was spearheaded by Candace Schmid, and Jetsonorama and Killjoy are the artists who will be completing this work. This will be installed April 16th to the 28th. And so already this is getting a lot of buzz. Sedona Arts Center just had their Vision and Sound event and their symposium where Jetsonorama, Chip Thomas, was a keynote speaker, and everyone who attended that is looking forward to this installation, and they're going to come up from Sedona to see this work, to watch it be installed, which is super cool.
Kristen, can you tell us a little bit about, because I know there was first concerns when this was approved last spring about, you know, the fundraising aspect,
Yes.
because they were going to fundraise for, you know, part, because, you know, Cliff Thomas is an artist who did, you know, his work demands, you know, a bit more money than we had, because he does interviews as part of his process and everything, but they met their grant and
They did. So we they did a GoFundMe campaign, and their target goal, their fundraising campaign was $6,500. They exceeded that, and they are still receiving donations. And so they received contingent approval from us once they received once they had fundraised, 60% of their budget, we could then go ahead and release those first funds. So they did, and they are going to be utilizing that extra money. They will be upgrading that paper that's a part of this wheat pasting process. So they will be utilizing a more durable material. But again, chips works are ephemeral. But with that said, you know, you've seen these as you drive across the reservation. There are some of these wheat pasted murals in Flagstaff, and many of them have been up for 10 years. So it's a very durable product. Phillip Community Greenhouse. So they were a fall 2022 grantee, and they have requested an extension date through June 30th of this year. They had to go back to the drawing board and kind of and revise their project. So originally, their beautification and action grant application included a greenhouse, and that greenhouse has been delayed, not because of it's been delayed because of additional school funding. So they've had to pivot a bit more. They have $500 left in their budget, and they want to purchase more pollinator plants to go into the pollinator garden that resides, it's publicly visible on school property. And they also want to finish a mural, which is located on a storage cabinet that's visible from 3rd Avenue and 6th Street. And this mural, it features the three sisters, so corn, beans, and squash. And it looks great already, but it needs to be finished. The artist could not finish the project. He was working with students after school as part of the Native American Heritage Club. So they are going to continue to work with that club, finish the mural, and the artwork, and as well as the pollinator garden, the planting of those additional plants will be integrated into the curriculum this summer as part of their STEM summer camp. This is another spring 2022 grantee. This is Miss Cleo's house at the Murdoch Center. So this is it's a two-part project, and the first part of this has already been done. The grant recipient was Dr. Ricardo Guthrie, and he worked with his students while he was still at NAU to develop this website. It's historicsouthside.com. And this website not only celebrates Miss Cleo Wilson's life and legacy, but the lives and legacies of many Black community members in the South Side. I had the opportunity to peruse it. It's fantastic. And if you have the opportunity, I encourage you to take a look as well. Dr. Guthrie, since this website went live, he has been doing lectures in town about all things South Side that can be found here on this website. So very cool. Please take a look at that. And then the second part of this project, there are a few things that still need to be completed. So this project is entitled Miss Cleo's House at the Murdoch Center. They've asked for an extension request. It's part of, this project will complement a larger re-landscaping project, which includes the pollinator garden, which I'll show in the next slide, not yet. And then of course, the pocket park that's going in. But they want to do a few more things to honor Miss Cleo and her legacy, one of which is a mural, which they have completed. And then there are a few other items, including a bench, a commemorative plaque, and a commemorative stone. And these items will feature QR codes. So when you visit the Murdoch Center, you can scan that code and it will direct visitors back again to this website where they can look at historic photographs, they can listen to oral histories. They can read interviews and learn more about the community of Southside Flagstaff. And then finally, a spring 2021 grantee. This project and that grantee was the Southside Community Association. This is the Murdoch Community Center Native Pollinator Garden and entry signage. So again, that mural that I referenced in the last slide of Miss Cleo Wilson, that is it in this image here. So this project is also on track now to be completed by June 30th. They have about $1,000 left. They want to purchase more plants for this butterfly garden that you see here in the foreground of this image. This was redone by the Flagstaff Girl Scout troop over the course of the weekend. So the Girl Scouts were out there and family members were out there planting these plants to revitalize this garden. And one of the dads also did this new sign here. The old sign was in disrepair and needed a little TLC. So this is the new sign in this space. And sustainability staff and the historic preservation officer have also been assisting with this project. Any questions?
Thank you, Kristen.
So, yeah, I'd like to thank the commissioners. You've approved great projects. Yeah. And I know it's, you know, we've approved so many, it's, you know, like, did they get all done? And so that's one of the reasons we wanted to give you this update before we start the next cycle.
I have a question. Is there a limit on extension? The funded project, it'll be completed within a year.
There's nothing official. Chair Cruz, we really, as staff, just look at good efforts and reasons why. You know, we like them to be done within a year. Obviously, that's when the energy is up. You know, we've only had one that was approved that actually never really launched. And is so we ceased granting extensions because there was no real discernible effort being put in. But other than that, given the nature of the grants being community grants, if there's effort and progress, we really try to be accommodating. That's our philosophy.
Thank you. Folks, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we will move forward. At this point, are there any requests for future agenda items or to from items?
I have a request, and it might just be a meeting with Dave or Jana, but I feel like I need after our conversation of the last month's meeting with funding for Creative Flagstaff, I think I need myself a better understanding of the color of money and where things go and how it works for Creative Flagstaff and how that may or may not play into a renewal of PPP. I don't know if that's an agenda item or that's just a conversation that I can have.
I think if we can have the conversation, and then if you still want it to be an agenda item, then maybe request it next month. Would that be okay?
If no one else needs that, I think that's fine.
I mean, I would be interested in hearing that conversation.
Sounds like there's two commissioners wanting that. We could maybe do some sort of a presentation about the relationship between the city and Creative Flagstaff. Does that work, staff?
That's part of it. And I think it's not just, I think it's the funding and some of that might be, timing might be opportune with the transitions going on in Creative Flagstaff anyway. So a discussion, I think it'd be good to have.
It'd be one of the things that will be interesting is maybe we might divide it, if it's okay with you, into a couple of different discussions, because we actually have the budget approval next month in April. which Dave will be leading because I will be watching this. I'm not trying to slide out from
Did you
that.
arrange for that eclipse to happen exactly?
I did, but, you know, we have the regular, you know, budget approval, of which the money that I spoke about for the operating funds to, you know, in arts and sciences, that's dog-eared for Creative Flagstaff is part of. And I think we can have the general color of money discussion there, maybe about what's going forward with these cafe conversations to build for the next contract and the transition. Maybe that's a separate,
Maybe.
a separate, because we have to approve the budget next month and we're gonna have all the BIA applications. It's gonna be kind of it could be a long meeting with 9 applications. So
Okay.
just wanted to maybe talk about, if it's okay, breaking that up a bit.
I would just say I'm more interested in the latter of what you described there, kind of with the transition now, kind of the visioning, more interested in the visioning for the future of that relationship,
Yes.
because
And then
that
of
really
course-
lends itself to what kind of person you may be Creative Flagstaff may be looking for in the future.
Right. And of course, I do urge everyone to participate in the cafe conversations. And I know that Liza Kretzman will be reaching out to feedback for some separate interviews as well.
Will some of that be covered, Jana, or not in those?
Yeah, I think that's gonna take a little time to accumulate some of that information. And that's why I think that part might be a little bit later than the actual budget.
No, I mean, in the cafe conversations with Eliza, will any of the relationship between the city and Creative Flagstaff be covered or not?
Mr. McIntyre wants to answer that question.
He's halfway out of his chair.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we come to the table. I will wonder why now. I think we are planning to have some context provided within the cafe conversations to make sure that as the public's providing input, they have some basic knowledge. We're not going to get into the intricacies of contracts and scopes of work and things like that, but just talk with some broad brushstrokes about how it has been a collaborative relationship and that we are seeking feedback about some of the investments that we've been having and some of the planning that's been occurring in various places, partly in preparation for the fact that we have a new contract coming up. And also because it's great for the city to understand what its investments are doing and how that's being received and whether that's still what the community is interested in.
And what else they might be interested in.
And what else they might be interested in.
Things that could be added.
Correct. So I think there'll be some context provided, but you know, the point won't be to go deeply into this is about Creative Flagstaff and the city's relationship. That's not necessarily the case. This will inform our future investments, and that obviously will impact sort of how we look to bring things forward to council in relation to Creative Flagstaff. With the budget conversation that we're going to have next week, especially since I'm helping to guide that piece forward, I am more than happy to provide all the color of money information and also I can provide a little bit of clarity about how we've kind of got to where we are with this next coming year while we get ready for that new process. So as Jenna mentioned, I think it is easier to break up into 2 chunks, but we can talk a little bit more that way at the time.
I mean, we have, as I discussed last time, about $300,000 going towards that contract for next year. And we can go into how that is broken up between the grants, the administrative and the leadership money.
And I'll say that the 300,000 is actually the money that goes directly to Creative Flagstaff. The contract itself is much larger by the time.
Right.
It's got all the
that's the
pass-through
grant.
funding in it
Yeah.
as well. So if Creative Flagstaff's listening, no, it's not 300,000, but or the nonprofits that receive that funding. Yeah, we've been working really hard within the Arts and Science Fund.
And if as part of that, if there could be the comparison that's been suggested to, is it Chandler or Yuma, or there's one of the other cities down in the valley that was given as an example.
So I traveled with Jonathan to visit some of those, and we've done some research on other communities, right? In terms of like, I guess I want to understand more what you're seeking out of that. Do you want me to talk about the different community models that are out there?
So I've not done this in other cities in Arizona, but I've been involved with this in other cities outside of Arizona. And when you've got a center like that, there can frequently be more per capita funding, right? I don't know if that's even within the realm of our possibility, but I'd like to look at that.
Okay,
I
so.
mean, building a
specifically
building
about
and saying
CTA.
they will come is a recipe for failure. And I'm trying to get us a few steps ahead.
And so one of the things I'd like to understand better, and I hope you guys don't mind that conversation here. The Creative Flagstaff to me is much bigger than the Center for the Arts, but it sounds like you're pretty focused on the facility in that particular question.
Well, the facility is part of it, right? And it's the arts programs that come through that facility, for better or for worse, it's what we got, right? And figuring out how to improve that.
Okay.
I think that will be much, again, maybe part of the later conversation versus, I think next month I want to add to it so that you understand exactly what's being approved for Creative Flagstaff, in this upcoming year. And then for the next fiscal year, if a fuller report on what other cities do. There was some a trip that was attended and there was different things that were noted, different organizational structures. But part of what our consultant is doing for us is actually sending out surveys to like cities of similar size. One thing about the Phoenix excursion was that Phoenix is a huge city. Flagstaff's, a city of 65,000. So we're looking at Bozeman, Montana, Asheville, North Carolina, finding out through that process what their structures are.
Sure.
And so I think we could give a fuller answer if we wait till our consultant finishes, her work. And we're, in a way, the reason we have a consultant is so that it's not staff doing it. And so that we get a kind of an independent, look. And she has picked out like 7 or 9, and she's not only doing the city organizations, but the, nonprofit organizations that may be running arts programs in those similar sized cities. But, we
already learned a lot.
We do already know just from the excursion that they took that we do give more money to nonprofits through grants disproportionately than any other city. It says, do we want to shift that based on that information? That's a discussion because the large part of our money that goes through pass-through grants, they've been very popular. So there's but most cities don't do that. They don't give anywhere near the amount of pass-through grants that we do.
My organization gets some of that.
Well, and that's one of the pieces.
And one of the things that came out was like, most cities don't do that.
So when you hear about a per capita, more per capita going to one place than another, as per capita as a city, we provide a lot for the arts. But we are much more heavily focused on the nonprofit sector than on facilities so far.
And that's what I'd like to understand better.
Yep.
So it sounds like that individual meeting will be great. And then moving forward, if Chris, you think there's any of that comes out of it that can be helpful for the rest of us, that would be great. Or we can actually table that until we have some new commissioners join us after, what is it, July 1, I think.
But Matt said he was interested in that too.
I mean, I think after the conversation that what you're talking about next month and going forward, I think captures what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I think we can add a little bit to, the budget next month, just to understand the proportion that's given to leadership, admin, and then the pass-through grants of what we've approved, so that you have that information in April. I think that the other bigger discussion about, what could be all the possibilities and comparing it to other cities and that sort of thing. I think we should probably wait till we get more of the result from our consultant. And we're in that process, and it's going to be within the next 6 months that we're going to have a lot more answers. And I think that I mean, obviously, I think we were gonna have Eliza make a presentation to BPAC at some point. In addition to all the conversations you have, so that, because yes, we're gonna have to do a whole new scope, and that's gonna have to have an approval by BPAC. And so we do need you to understand. So yes, I think we can safely say there will be at least one meeting on this, maybe more, but it just might not be next month or.
Okay. I'm okay with whatever the timing makes most sense.
I still touch on color and money at least next month.
Yeah.
Not part of the budget.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other requests for future agenda items? Hearing none. Claire, welcome back. I'd like to
Yes.
say we missed you last month. It's lovely to have you. Do you want to tell us anything? I hope you received the card we sent you.
Yes, well, I do want to just take a minute and thank you for that. That was so kind and thoughtful of all of you. So that really meant a lot to me and my family. So thank you so much. And yes, my son was born on February 3rd, and he's a big boy. He was 9 pounds and 13 ounces,
Wow.
just shy of 10 pounds. So yeah, we're very happy just getting settled in, and I'm very happy to be back. I hope ambitiously thinking out. I hope to be in person in April. So look forward to seeing you all then.
Wonderful. Congrats. It's lovely to hear him in the background.
And Dave McIntyre and I think it's very auspicious that there's another aquarium in our little.
Oh, no, we're doomed now.
Claire, what did you name him?
Finn.
Finn?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Congratulations to you and your wife. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So this is the end of our meeting, folks. I'll remind you that our next BPAC meeting is on April the 8th. It'll be hybrid. And I will wish everybody a good month and adjourn the meeting at 5:49 p.m.
And there'll be an eclipse of the sun.
Where are you going to
Thank
see
you,
it?
folks.
No, Texas.
Oh.
I'm spending the weekend in Austin and